Hey guys, welcome to Great Company. I'm really, really excited for today's episode because we're actually currently shooting in LA and Los Angeles, and my jet lag is totally through the roof at the moment. Now, if you don't know today's guest, then you're living under a rock. Today's guest is Alix Earle. She's one of the biggest content creators on the planet at the moment. So many millions of followers. Really excited to have her on the show today to talk about so many things. I mean, her career blew up when she was at college. She started posting on TikTok about different things. Today's episode is going to be amazing. So if you haven't subscribed to the show already, please do. All you got to do is click that little button that says subscribe. It helps the show so much. Okay, are you ready for this? Let's begin the episode of Great Company with Alix Earle. Alix, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Are you kidding me? Thank you for being here.
This is so exciting.
It's beyond exciting. You've just had a coffee, haven't you?
I did. I had a coffee. I came in hot. I was like, I'm a little jittery right now. I've had too much coffee, and I don't know. I love the taste of coffee, but I'm like, maybe I need to start drinking decaf or something, because even now I'm going like a million miles per second. I slow it down.
No, I'm the same. I can't drink it.
Really?
Because I went through a phase of trying to drink coffee, and my anxiety just went through the roof as soon as I drank it.
It's not good for anxiety, and I have diagnosed anxiety, so I'm on Lexapro every day, and without the Lexapro, I don't think I could have coffee.
That's amazing that you talk about that. I love that.
Yeah.
Straight in.
We'll get right into it.
We'll get right. I mean, let's get into anxiety. I have anxiety as well, but I've never ever taken any medication because I've always been, for some reason, like nervous about it for whatever reason. But it's amazing.
Yeah, I guess I've been on it for so long now that I kind of forget that I'm on it. I started it when I was a freshman in high school, so 14, 15 years old. And I was a little hesitant at first as well, because I was like, I don't want to have to like rely on something for my anxiety. I was like, I can do it on my own. I mean, I was so stubborn with medication. I was like the kid that like I wouldn't even take an Advil. I was like, I can do it. I can get over the sickness myself. But I think for me, it got to a point where I was like, I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't really do anything because my anxiety was so bad. And then it really just kind of helped like slow me down a little bit, slow the thoughts in my head. And it's been a great experience for me. But
that's amazing that you talk about it, because I think a lot of people. Do you know what, Alix, I love about you so much? Like there is so many things that you do, but you're so. And we spoke about this with Madeline, who's a friend of ours. You're so authentically you.
Thank you.
You really are. Like, even meeting you here for the first time, straight away, you're just like straight in. Yeah, I have anxiety. I just drank coffee. I'm going to be all over the place, a little bit dirty, like things like that. That's, I think, what the world needs is that authenticity. And you fall into that so easily. You just like to be authentic.
Yeah, I guess it's a blessing and a curse at times, but I always try to, keep it real, especially on social media. I feel like that's another thing can tend to get a little fake on there. So trying to like take down that barrier, I think, has been a big thing for me, and just saying what I think.
Did you ever try and be someone else?
Did I ever try and be someone else?
Like when you first started out, because I remember when man, the things I've tried to be, honestly, growing up, it's crazy to like know who we are.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like that's a big thing for me. I feel like in college, and even after college, every year I change. I look back at last year and I'm like, I'm not the same person as I was last year. And I definitely went through a phase though on social media trying to be not myself, and it was just not working for me. I was like, I really want to grow on social media. Like I have a lot of fun on there, especially on TikTok. I got on there and I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to be anything but myself. And then when I got to like a really weird place mentally, honestly, it was like when I was really insecure about like my acne, is when I was just like, ugh, like I can't even pretend to just be this like perfect, like all buttoned up all the time. And then that's kind of when I like took down that barrier, and it's when I started to see growth, and I was like, oh, okay, like there's really nothing to be afraid of here. But I was so afraid of not being like a perfect social media curated whatever I thought that was in my head.
Why do you think we have this obsession to kind of be perfect when none of us are that perfect?
That's a good question.
Because
I don't think social media helps.
Yeah, no.
And like especially growing up with social media, and I think now like I have younger siblings, and just what they see on social media, I think it's a little bit better now, but I feel like when I was growing up it was very like just, I don't know, like everyone was like Instagram models, picture perfect, and like you're seeing all these things and these like glamorized lifestyles. And I don't know, I think people have a little, I think it honestly comes from a place of just like insecurities when you can't be yourself. Is like you're trying to be, you're not secure with who you are, so you're trying to be someone else and trying to like curate something of your own. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Going back, because we went in hot, so I'm going to stay hot with you on it. Okay, so with the anxiety right at the beginning, how did that manifest itself at the beginning? Because racing thoughts, how was it?
So basically, I passed out and I fainted. I was getting my hair done and I thought nothing of it. I guess I just like didn't have like enough breakfast in the morning. I was in this like hot heated salon. There was bleach going on, and even talking about this now I'll start to get nervous.
Okay, well, if you do, don't worry. Okay. we can just pause it. I don't
I'm gonna leave.
You just leave. Thank you very much for
thanks for having me.
Okay.
And then it was like a week or so after I was out to eat sushi with my friends. It was before the first day of high school, and it was with this new group of girls, and I started to get a little hungry and like my stomach grumbled, and then my mind went to like, oh my god, I'm hungry, like am I gonna pass out again? And then a million thoughts started racing through my head, and I remember we were at this Japanese restaurant and I'm like fanning myself. I was like, I gotta go. Then I had experienced my first panic attack, which was like shortness of breath. I was overheating, I was very lightheaded, and I didn't know what a panic attack was, and I don't think at that age like any of the girls I was with knew what a panic attack was. So I was on the floor of this restaurant, and they called my dad, and my dad took me to the hospital, and we went to the hospital. They had me hooked up to everything you could think of. For the next 2 weeks I went to a heart doctor, brain doctor. I got every scan, every test done, and every doctor was like, you're normal, like you're fine. And I was like, I don't think you understand like what I was feeling. I was like, something's not right, like my body's not functioning properly. And it was anxiety, but I just didn't know what anxiety was, which is why I think it's important to talk about anxiety or like mental health online, because I had no idea what it was. And when they told me I had anxiety, I was like, this sounds like some type of like STD. I was like, what is this? I was like, I can't have that. And I was just so confused because no one really talked about it. And then when they told me, you know, there's medication or therapy, I was like, oh God, like something's really, really wrong with me. But it's something that a lot of people deal with. But I think not knowing what anxiety was for me was so confusing. And I mean, it feels, because you get such physical symptoms from it. I was like, I'm just dying. Like I was like, something's really wrong with me.
Alix, I completely relate to you in that sense. I was like 22 and I had this panic attack again. I was at home by myself. I thought I was dying. Yeah. I went to hospital and I was like, I'm dying. And they were like, you're not. And I was like, no, I am. You're wrong, doctor. And they just said, go and have, and I've said this before, but I think it's important. I went back, I went out, they said, go and have a Coca-Cola. So I went and had a Coca-Cola. And my anxiety just didn't go. I just, what I felt was this like constant fear on edge. And I couldn't explain it to anyone. Yeah. And I was trying to explain it and no one would understand.
It doesn't make any sense. And especially when you don't know what it is, and it is physical symptoms. So like I would wake up, I remember in high school, and the first thing is like my heart was beating out of my chest. First thing I did every morning was I went to the bathroom, and I just got sick because the second I woke up, it was just like my whole body was all discombobulated. No, it's okay. We're all good now.
Yeah, I know we are.
Hopefully, you know, sending a positive message to anyone that feels this way, that you can get over this, because I really felt so trapped in my own body, and I was like, it was just so uncomfortable. I was like, I don't want to be in this body that's feeling this way. And it took me a while to get over it, but for me it was like therapy, and then the medication helped me, which is good. But yeah, it's crazy.
Do you feel comfortable talking about it, or do you kind of sometimes go, I don't know if I want to open up about it as much?
I feel really comfortable talking about it now, but in high school I remember I was like, this is a big secret. Like I wouldn't tell my friends. When again they had diagnosed me with like generalized anxiety disorder, I was like, this is a secret. I'm not telling anyone, because it just felt like I was like I had the plague, like I have some bad disease, and I felt so abnormal. And then I remember it wasn't until the end of high school that one of my other friends started to experience anxiety, and I was able to help her just from what I had learned. And then I was like, oh, okay, like it started to click for me that I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so embarrassing. And then which is crazy,
It's
how
crazy,
much has
right?
changed over the past few years. Because when I first got to college, was the first time I told people that I was on medication for it, and because other girls were, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is something that we all deal with, but like it just like wasn't as talked about, so I felt like there was something so wrong with me, and I was so embarrassed of it. But now I don't care.
It's crazy that, isn't it? It's
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same as me, that I didn't want to tell anyone at all. And I remember, I remember standing in a shower and just like haven't told anyone. I didn't say anything to anyone. And I was doing a TV show at the time, and I was trying to be on this TV show, and I thought I was this like outgoing guy, and like,
Yeah.
and suddenly this plague had come over
Yeah.
me and like taken away my whole personality. So I was trying to fake it all the time. And I finally said in the shower, I said, "What's wrong with you?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
said it out loud, and I admitted it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Phoned my mum up and said, "Something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is." They said, went to a doctor, said, "You have general anxiety disorder."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, how do I get rid of it?" And they said,
Oh, you don't.
You don't." And I said, "No, no, tell me, how do I get rid of it? I need to get rid of it tomorrow because I got this and this." And they
Mm-hmm.
said, "You can't. You have to learn to accept it." And I went, "But I don't want to accept it."
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're in that same place as well, which is as soon as you start accepting, then that's the sudden path to freedom, when you can kind of go, "It's okay, this is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all right."
Yeah, definitely feels like you can be trapped in it. And so, like, what did you do kind of to get over it or mitigate it or help?
Great question. I, truthfully, I'll be honest with you, because this shows, but I drank a lot.
Mm.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
And because what happened was, as I was young, I was going out a lot, and for me, alcohol, suddenly I found this alcoholic drink that just like cured it. It just went away. And so I was like, well, this is fine. This, I can just drink this. And then what happened was is that I was like going on nights out and getting too drunk
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to relieve the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was a little bit of a problem. And so then I started going to therapy. Therapy for me was just the greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. Once you talk about it, it's not as scary once you like say it out loud, and that's what something I try to like tell now. And even when I'm on social media and just talking about like, oh my gosh, my anxiety is really bad today, like it really does help, even if someone you're in the room with and you're just like, hey, I'm feeling anxious right now, and just like admitting it out loud, it's like it really helps, even though it sounds stupid, but it helps.
I saw that, I think it's the sweetest Instagram post I've ever seen anyone write. You just had your 1 year anniversary.
Yes, with my boyfriend.
That is pretty special to have that.
It is, and it's funny because I was always really bad at being like fully comfortable with like being vulnerable in a relationship. I think because I got so burned the first time, I was always like, I am not going to let this happen again. So I was always the very like closed off one. I would never really like post with a boyfriend like that or do anything like lovey dovey, because I was like, if things go to shit, like I'm gonna be like, oh, this didn't affect me. And that for a while was affecting my relationships because I wasn't opening up and like fully committing. And Braxton is someone who's really really patient with me, and like even when we started hanging out, it was like 9 months before we started dating, because I was like, I don't have feelings for you, I don't like you, I don't want a boyfriend, and I was so cold-hearted. And he was like,
You had this armor at it. That's crazy.
I did. And he was like, come on. And he was so patient with me, and I mean, he's really given me no reason to think otherwise, of just
Yeah.
like, then he's a great guy. And I kind of had to like accept with myself. I was like, okay, you have to like let yourself love and let yourself, you know, get hurt. Like maybe I will get hurt, maybe something will happen, but like you're never gonna fully know if this is like your person or right for you if you're not giving 100%. So for a while I was giving like 20%, and I was like, I don't have feelings, I don't care, and I was trying to be like a cold-hearted cool bitch.
I want to go more into that, but just where do you think that comes from, though? Where there must have been a moment in your life where suddenly you just went, right, I need to put this shield up and protect myself here.
It was after I literally had gotten cheated on just like so blatantly, and then would take him back. And I mean, this boyfriend would come home for holidays, and I was like, because we did long distance, he was in college, and he would come back and then go to a party, not invite me while we're in like the same town, like
Yeah.
10 minutes away from my house, hook up with another girl, and then like come back and be like, but I love you. And I was like, I was so messed up. And then when that was finally over, I was like, I don't ever want to feel this way again, because I just felt like such shit. And I was like, I will not let myself feel that way. So then I tried to be like man-eater, cold-hearted,
you
whatever.
Just turn it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was helpful in some ways. I think in college, and just everyone's kind of a little bit of an asshole, and cruised through that. And then I realized that it was a little bit of a problem.
Because it's so important to be vulnerable in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so right. That's the hardest thing to lean into, to suddenly go, okay, here I am. This is me, accept it. And we hold a little bit back all the time because we're so scared that people are going to find out our true selves. Because maybe our true selves aren't good enough, or you're going to hurt me, or whatever. And once you lean into that space, it's like the most beautiful thing in the world.
It is. And it's good. I'm loving it. It's been great. Even like I shock myself with like how deeply I feel, or sometimes like the things I do, and I'm still like opening up and healing from that space that I used to be in. But it really just like month by month gets better, more open.
He's a real stud.
Yeah.
I've been checking him out on Instagram. He's a real stud. But it's also you have to deal with maybe things, because he's an athlete, right? And I just seen he's got injured. You know, he's been injured. He's out for the season. He's playing for Miami Dolphins, and that must be pretty tricky.
Yeah, it's hard to hear and find out that he got hurt, and then just being with him the first 2 weeks of his recovery, and to see him like be really broken down about this. He's so motivated and always like go, and he's very routine. So for him to like have to sit in bed all day and then like be on crutches and can't even walk to the bathroom, and seeing him get so frustrated with that it hurt me so much, just because like I felt so bad for him. But he's doing really good now, and I'm just trying to be positive reinforcement, some good entertainment. I like got us checkers and like Rubik's cubes. I'm like, this is great, like let's take up checkers. Like we don't even need to leave the bed.
You're trying to force hobbies on him.
Yeah, honestly, checkers is great though. I haven't played in so long.
You're bringing him checkers and a Rubik's cube. You're like, here you go, just do this.
The Rubik's cube though, I had to quit though, because that I almost lost my mind.
Do you have ADHD or no?
Definitely.
Yeah, same.
I don't think diagnosed, but I can't focus on something for more than a second.
I'm exactly the same. They told me that doing a Rubik's cube would help.
It's
the worst. I said, it actually makes my brain hurt.
No, it hurts.
Yes.
Right? I was like, oh my God. Like I really couldn't conceptualize how to get this last color up to the top with all the other colors. And I was like, I'm going to throw this thing through the window. And like, I got so mad. Like I don't ever want to see a Rubik's cube again.
Who said I love you first?
Wait, I have no idea. Oh wait, I do remember.
Okay, great.
I'm so dumb. I do remember.
Don't worry, it's the ADHD. That's what
I was like,
I'll
know
give
that
you a
there's
Rubik's
a
cube.
story. I was like, I'm not trying to like hide this from you. I know that there's a story. I just forgot. So it was actually me.
Okay.
And it was before his first football game last year. It was my first time going, seeing him play. Me and my friends were outside tailgating. I'm like, tequila shots. This will be so fun. And I went down to see him on the field, and I was just like, hey, like, have a good game. Like, he comes over to hugs you. You get like 5 seconds, and then he runs away. And I was like, I love you. And he like looked at me, and then he was hugging my friend like while he was processing what I just said. And then he looks at me, and like we both laugh, and then he runs off into the locker room and didn't say I love you back. And for the whole game, I was like I've got to go. Like, I just said I love you to this man, and he said nothing back to me. And I was so freaked out. And then after the game, I was like, hey, says like, you know, like, but so accidentally said something like before. He was like, yeah, like I figured like you might have been drunk and it was just like an accident, so like I didn't say it back. And then I was like, shit. I was like, well, I did mean it, but I was like, how do I say, like, I mean it? And then I think like a day later or something, he ended up saying it to me, but it was me first, and it was not reciprocated. So
there's so many things that like it wasn't sorry. Just before his game, you dropped that bomb on him as well. He's just like, so what? And then he has
And someone had a video of it. Like it surfaced on my For You page of like me hugging him and my friend, and then it was like us dying laughing, and it was like, I wonder what they're dying laughing about. And I was like, I just told him I loved him, and nothing was said back. What's your love language?
Acts of service as well.
Mm-hmm.
Touch is amazing, but it's when you're a team together doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That for me is just like everything.
I think that's a big thing I learned in this relationship is not how much work goes into it, but like it takes effort from both sides, and like constantly working, like putting effort in and showing that you want it to work and you want it to be better and you want it to grow. And I think, like continuing to keep showing up for each other and showing out in different ways.
Totally. Can I ask a personal question as well? And feel free, you don't have to talk about it, but you know, my family went through a divorce, and your family went through a divorce.
Yeah.
The difference is that from what I understand, is that your family's divorce was quite high profile.
Yeah.
How hard was that?
It was hard, and I think that's something that, when they say everything happens for a reason, and it doesn't feel like it in the moment, that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, oh, my world is crashing, like what's going on? And then everyone in my school knows what's going on, and I was so embarrassed. And then it's like going through that and having eyes on us, I think at a young age really helped, honestly, with now, and just like the way I'm able to kind of brush things off or accept things. I think everything does happen for a reason, and family's great now, so it's good. But it was definitely hard when I was young. So like going through a divorce, and that was another thing, is a lot of the families around me weren't getting divorces. So I was like, what's going on with, like, what's wrong with my family? Like, I was the only one that, like, with school events, like I would have like my parents coming separately too, and holidays, it was like split holidays. So I felt like a little bit out of the norm with that.
Do you think that's why you also put up a guard, maybe?
Probably. Yeah, that's something that, in therapy we've talked about.
And I'm not your therapist, so I shouldn't go deeper. Alix, what were you like as a young kid?
I was really shy.
Were you really?
Yes, I was so unbearably shy. If someone would ask me a question, it's like, I wasn't as bad as my sister, but even like ordering at a restaurant would scare me. Like I was really, really quiet.
Really?
And then, I guess it was in front of other people. Like took me a while. Like I remember with like babysitters when I was little, like it would take me a while to like warm up to them. And I still am kind of that way with people, but not as much anymore. You're looking at me, you're like,
no, it's my wife Sophie was like that. She used to hide underneath her mum's dress when anyone tried to speak to her. She just didn't like that. And she had to teach herself to come out of her sort of her shyness in a way. Yeah,
I get a little nervous at first when meeting people, and then I think I went through a phase in middle school, early high school, where I was having some troubles making girlfriends, and then I think that was another thing for me where I was like, well, I don't want to open up to people because when I do, they're just mean to me. So I was pretty quiet and reserved, and it would take a while for me to open up to people, and it still does at times, but I like have retrained myself to be a little bit more outgoing because people would start to be like, oh, she's a bitch because she's not talking. But I was just like, I mean, I do have a bad case of the RBF, and I also
for people who don't know, what is the RBF?
Just the resting bitch face. It's probably gonna like come out throughout this. You'll be talking and I'm like sitting there just such a blank face, and it's something I've been trying to work on.
So okay, so you growing up, you found schooling a little bit tough. When did you kind of come out of your shell, what do you think? When did you start to become a bit more confident in yourself?
Probably the end of high school. Once I found good friends, then I felt a little bit more confident. I was like, oh, okay, I can do this thing, like people like me, because I think trouble like in middle school, like honestly the girls were just really rude. So for me it was like, oh, something's wrong with me, or like I'm not cool enough or good enough for them. So I like started to doubt myself, and then obviously that resulted in like a lack of confidence. So I feel like once I got a good group of friends, and I am such like a loyal friend, like the friends that I've had in high school that like kind of brought me out of my shell, they're still my friends to this day, like been my friends for 10 years, and I like to keep my circle.
That's amazing.
Like pretty close knit, and the people that I'm friends with, I'm like ride or die, and you're gonna be by my side. It's like the people I made friends with the first week of college are still all my best friends now. So I really, really rely on my friends, and they are really grounding for me.
Do you hold grudges?
Yes. I'm a big grudge holder.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
You don't forget it?
No.
I can actually feel it on you. I can.
No.
Did you feel that? I can literally feel that on you. That is, so you hold it. What's your star sign, can I ask?
Sagittarius.
I don't know what that means. I don't know why I said that.
What are you?
I'm a Scorpio. I don't even know what that is. I always hear that
I'm
Scorpio.
a rising Scorpio.
Does that mean we connect? I don't know. Is that a good thing?
I think so. I'm not the best with all of that, but a Sagittarius can be like pretty cutthroat, I think. I'm just blaming on that.
Really? So if you've been crossed, because I'm a little bit the same in some sense, where it's nice, always nice. But if someone does something wrong to people I love, to family members or something like that.
Yeah, I'm the worst with that. I'm really like, once you do something wrong in my eyes, like you are done. And it's just like, maybe that's something I should work on, but it's hold to yourself. I think it's a good thing. I am a pretty big grudge holder, but I've actually been trying to let go of things this year and like move on. And I think, everyone makes mistakes. So but I am a grudge holder at my core.
There's a great saying, which is, not that you want to seek revenge, but it's kind of about grudge and things like that, which is, seeking revenge is like drinking poison and wanting the other person to die.
Mm-hmm.
It only hurts yourself.
Yes. And I think that's something I went through, where it's like, if you're really happy with yourself, like you don't need to wish bad upon others. But I think I'm more of a grudge holder, and just like, if you're gonna do something wrong, like you're out of my life, and like I don't need to like try and take you back, or it's like maybe you see things over multiple times. I've been pretty good at cutting off people.
That's pretty strong. That's a strong personality.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, I would say, I fall into that. I try not to, but most people do. If you fall into the category where people they do something wrong to you, and then they try and make it up, you kind of go, okay, no. But actually, again, I bring Sophie up, my wife, again, but she's very much like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started dating Sophie. I mean, we just kissed for the first time, whatever. And then I went out and she found out that I kissed someone else. She was like, by the way, I'm done. And not about it, she was like, look, we can still be friends, but that's not what I do ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to hang out with me, you just hang out with me and just let you know that this won't happen. I went, okay, fine. I think you'll get over it, whatever. She didn't. It took me like 6 months to try and win any sort of, and it wasn't even that, it was like.
Had to put in the work.
Totally. But it was a great thing, and it made me realize how important it is to hold yourself in such a position.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to know, it's like, setting a standard for yourself for what you like. And I think, like with guys, it's if they're not going to treat you the right way, I'm pretty good at like cutting someone off, but I've been trying to work on the grudges. Because I don't think holding hatred in your heart is good. But I guess for me, when I say grudge, more of like I just won't forget what you did.
Have you ever had your heart broken?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm. I would say my first heartbreak was I was dating this guy. He was older than me, and he was like going into college, and in college, and I was in the end of high school, so he was older than me. In my mind, he was just like a god. And I mean, he cheated on me. I took him back, cheated on me again, and like that was just like such a heartbreaking cycle. Honestly, that was maybe what changed things a little bit for me, because I kept forgiving, and I was so forgiving, and I just was trying to see the good in him. And like I think with like your first love or your first heartbreak, you're just so, I just couldn't see how someone that loved you could do that to you. And it's like maybe they don't really love you, and like that just didn't process for me, and I would just blame myself for a lot of things. So that was my big first heartbreak.
Can I tell you a story about my first heartbreak?
Please do.
It's the most embarrassing thing.
Please do.
I was in love with this girl, and she broke up with me on a bridge, and I was about 15. and I got down on my hands and knees and begged her. And
But that's what it feels like.
Alex, when I was crying, my tears were landing on her grey plimsolls, making marks in them.
On her what?
On her shoes, like she had grey shoes on. They were making marks, and I looked up at her, and she was looking at me like I was some like sweet little dog.
Oh, that's really sad.
It was. And the worst thing about it, I was still on my hands and knees, and she says, "I gotta go now." So she walked off, and I banged to the ground my hand in a puddle.
But that's what it feels like.
It
It's just like, this can't be a real feeling.
But it actually can't be a real feeling. When someone does that to your heart, it's are you kidding me? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, and you will just do anything to try and get that person back, or at least I did.
How do you get over heartbreak then? So someone listening now, so many people love you, they're listening and they're going, okay, I'm going through heartbreak, I'm going through something. How do you get over it? How do you get through it?
I think you have to, I think you got to give yourself a grace period of like, you're going to be sad, you're going to be upset, you're going to go through the crying on hands and knees and, wanting to beg for that person back. But you've really got to accept, I think, like why something ended. And I think if someone broke up with you, I think that's always hard of like, why don't they want me? But you really have to get into the mindset of like, you don't want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you. And I think that's okay, and it's not like there's nothing wrong with you, just sometimes there's not a match or there's a disconnect or people just don't align or maybe it's not the right time. So I think that's something, because people get so worried about like the other person, or even when girls are dating, I feel like it's always like, oh, like they didn't text me back, or oh, like he didn't ask me out on another date. But it's like, are you even stepping back and realizing like, wait, do I want to date this person? Like, do I want to go on another date with them? And most of the times it's just kind of like you want what you don't have. But I will say with like a heartbreak, that's something that you've got to accept and move on. And then I think like doing things for yourself whenever you're ready, which I'm like, we've got to get up and go fast. Like, we're not going to sit in bed for 3 months. But I think like,
is that what you're like? So you're just like, you can get over it?
Well, now I'm a little bit more cutthroat than I was when maybe I was like 18 going through this, which I don't even remember at that time. But I'm like, you definitely gotta surround yourself with like friends, family. You have to distract yourself, because that's another thing of like going through a heartbreak is like your routine with that person. It's like maybe you go to bed together, you watch movies together, you're used to waking up and you text them, but it's like you need to replace that with like friends or family or a coworker. Anyone, text a fake number, but like you have to like do the Snapchat AI that answers you. But like you have to, you haven't seen that?
What is this?
There's like a little Snapchat AI robot that like will just be your friend and answer you. So if you're feeling lonely.
Unbelievable.
But I think that's another big thing is like you have such a routine with a person and then it's gone and you're like, I don't know what to do with myself. So I think finding a distraction, and then I always say it's like, treat yourself, like go get your hair done, get your nails done, put some self-tanner on, pluck your eyebrows, whatever's gonna like make you feel better. And I think like when you feel like you're presenting better, I feel like you just feel a little better.
As I don't know if you know this, but you have a lot of followers. I don't know if you've noticed, but you've got a lot. You got a lot. Man, your fame was like just sudden in so many ways.
It was.
You gained this huge following online so quickly through TikTok. And the first time I ever sort of realized who you were was I was singing with my friend Georgie, who will be so excited I've even mentioned her name on this. She was actually my best woman at my wedding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's the best. I've known her since I was a kid. And she said, you got to check out this girl who is just blowing up on TikTok. She's amazing. And I was like, what is so amazing about her? She's like, she's authentic, she's this, she's just truly herself. What was the video for you that you remember when traction started to happen, when you started to realize that TikTok was starting to boom?
It really was kind of like a snowball effect over, I would say like 4 to 5 months. It started with, I had like 100, 200,000 followers on TikTok. It was like 100,000 from just posting chronically over the years because I was like, I will do anything for a viral video on this app. I was like, please. I tried dancing on there, I was doing skits, and it just really wasn't working.
How was your dancing? Because you were a dancer, right? So
yeah, but it's the kind of like, it was like the TikTok dancing during quarantine where they're like growling at the camera. It was like, it wasn't good.
Are they still up there?
No, not the really bad ones. I have thought about posting them at one time because I just don't think that people would believe that that's something I put on the internet.
So you were growling at the camera?
You know the ones I'm talking about.
I don't.
Well, it's okay. Then we don't need to know. But yeah, I was dancing. I was trying a bunch of different things, and I gained some followers somehow through that. And then I think it's when I really started to post about my acne and then how I covered my acne with makeup. Is when I started to see like girls in my comment section and, you know, actual people, not just like bots with like little hearts. And I was like, oh wow, like this is really like connecting with people. So I started to do it more and more, and I then kind of had these get ready with me videos that I made for probably like a year or so before this, and then I was going into my senior year of college, and it was just like, here we go, going into college. And I think University of Miami is such a crazy experience.
In what way?
So it's not real life, like being in the city of Miami, and you know, we're going to these like pool parties and then to a club and then it's on a boat, and then it's like just everything we're doing just seems so surreal. So I really started just storytelling of like my senior year of college, what I was doing, continuing to post about like my acne, bringing in my friends, and it was really like through the fall I started to grow an audience and grow followers. And then I think it was when I went home for the holidays, November, December, it like just hit a spike, and I just like couldn't believe it was Thanksgiving. I hit 1 million followers on Thanksgiving, and I was sitting around with my family on the couch, and we were watching like the numbers go up. And then it was nice because my whole family was there, and my family was like, what are you doing on there? Like, why are people following you? I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna keep going with it.
What did your family say?
In the beginning, they didn't understand, and it was actually there was on ESPN on Christmas. I had just broken up with a boyfriend then, and ESPN was like, the only person that's being talked about this week more than Santa is Alix Earle. And my dad, that's when it caught my dad's attention. He was like, what's going on? He was like,
Sorry?
What are you doing? And people were sending it to my parents, and they were like, I really don't understand. Like, what's she doing on there? Like, what's happening? But now my parents are very invested in TikTok, and they're on it probably more than they should be.
I see them on it now. They're on it a lot, which is
yeah.
great. I love it.
But
I'm here for it.
They're watching it. Like, my dad is up with all the TikTok drama before I know. He's sending me like the gossip pages of things, and I was like, Dad, you've got to get off TikTok.
But if you get off TikTok. But if you dive deeper into it, right? You because that fame and that like attention, and that you get attention from brands, you're getting attention from men, women, from everything, from media.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to handle, and it's exciting and it's fun, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a downside to all of it, which is not like there's a dark side, right?
Yeah, there's a dark side, and I think for me, this is like the biggest blessing ever, so I would never like see it and be like, oh, the downside. But there is, you know, stuff that you don't consider, and you get thrown into a lot very fast, and it's like, I'm just living my life, my senior year of college, like going out, sharing my life, and now it's all of a sudden it's like you have these followers and you have this platform, and now it's like you're held to such a high position, and you're supposed to know the right and wrong things to do. And I'm like, I'm just a girl. I don't know all the time. Like, I don't know all the answers. Like, I'm still figuring out who I am. So I think that's a part of it, but I've always been pretty good at like chatter and stuff, just letting it go.
There's this thing which is now called the Alix Earle effect. Have you heard this? When brands work with you, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You know this?
Yes.
This is insane. Where if some brands can work with you, and some brands have seen 100% in terms of their search engines and things happen, where the brands just go wild as soon as you start talking about things.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy, the power that you have.
It is. I'd say like my audience is their ride or dies, and I think for me it's really about like what we talked about in the beginning of just keeping that authenticity. And I think the power of saying no has been something that I've had to learn, and not working or not taking deals just because of the paycheck, but taking it because it's something that you like and a brand you want to associate yourself with. Like, I remember in the beginning, I had this
I can't wait.
I think this was like the first like big offer I got. It was with like my old management, because when I had 100,000 followers, I had this manager all the way in Australia. She was great, love her.
You love a long distance.
Love long distance.
You love long distance.
It's the commitment issues. And she got this offer for, it was a head wrap that would help with migraines, but it was like a helmet, like a big helmet with like all these little stickers on it. It like looked crazy, but I saw the number and I was like, oh, I might consider taking this. And then I was like, okay, but like what? I have this loyal audience who trust me, trust my opinion, and then I'm gonna go post and be like, this is the best head cap, it helps with my migraines. Like, I just know that I would lose the respect of my audience and that trust that we have, and in turn saying no is the best thing looking back 2 years later.
Yeah.
But in the moment,
what were they offering you? Come on, was it a lot?
It was a lot, and I think it was a lot, and I just was I wanted to take it and I didn't take it, and it's in return,
It's amazing. You know, it's the not, you're thinking longevity. I almost want to show you this. There was a person that I know who did take a deal in the UK, and she's a friend of mine, and she did a deal, and I was like, what have you done here? And she did it where it was called the boyfriend arm, which is where you could buy an arm that would
to just like hang on you
hang on you if you were lonely on the sofa.
Well, maybe that's good for the girls going through a breakup. Maybe
No,
that's what they should get.
It is not. Get a Rubik's Cube. That is not good. Wow, that's good, but that's amazing that you have that mindset, that sort of brand mindset.
Yes, and I think that's because of this effect or whatnot with my audience. I didn't want to lose that trust, and I think that's ultimately gotten me far and further than it would have if I started like pitching all these things that I didn't really believe in. And it is crazy when you're working with brands, and I'm all of a sudden I'm like applying to marketing internships my senior year of college, and all of a sudden I'm like talking to the CEOs of these massive brands, and I was just like, what is my life right now? And I had to learn a lot really, really fast.
Well done. It's amazing.
And it's been a good journey, but it's crazy because
I love what you did with Poppi.
Oh yeah, Poppi's great.
It's what you did. I have a candy brand, right, in the UK, and we're over here as well. And I love what you did because they got you, and I spoke about this yesterday. They got you a house and Coachella, and just with all your buddies.
Yeah.
And said, you do you. And you were like, great. It's so clever the way that they did that, just so because you're so trusted.
Yeah. So
in that space, it's amazing.
That's something that I've tried to do. So Poppi, I invested in Poppi, and then I have like a longer term contract with them. So that's what I've been looking to do more recently, and a lot of like behind the scenes of the past year has been like, all right, what brands can I invest in or get equity in, and kind of go for the long haul and create those like authentic partnerships. Because Poppi, I was like, I love these little sodas. Like I was never drinking anything really besides coffee, and then I started drinking them like crazy, and I was like, these are great. So it's really cool to be able to work with brands in that way. And then when brands kind of can think outside of the box and they're able to be creative with you, and that was such a crazy moment. It was like, I think they said the Poppi Coachella thing did better than like their Super Bowl commercial. So it was like, that was crazy to see. And when it's authentic, I think it comes off in such a fun, organic way.
Alix, you were voted by Rolling Stone the 8th most influential creator in the world, I think it was.
I don't know.
Is that wild? Like, it's so funny.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but do you know what I see, which is so and so endearing with you, which is so amazing, is that you have this real sense of just like you still find it crazy. You still find it wild that these things are happening.
Crazy. It is. And even when you talk about this, like, I get uncomfortable talking
about
myself
though?
this way, because I don't know. But it is really crazy.
Do you think it's imposter syndrome?
Yes, 100%. And that people will ask all the time if like I'm out somewhere I'm meeting a lot of girls and people are like, oh, this is not got so annoying or whatever. And I'm like, the fact someone wants to like come up to me and say hi to me is actually crazy. Like that is like, if you were to tell 10-year-old Alix this, like she would be bonkers right now. So it's like, I never take it for granted. And I think, you know, this is something where it's like, it could all go away in a second. And I think a lot of people like let it get to their head pretty fast. So it's something that just tried to stay like really grounded in.
If you could have one dream that you wanted to do, if you said, okay, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, where is it? Do you want to create a brand? Do you want to host? What do you want to do? Because I feel like you can do anything.
Start my own brand. That's the ultimate goal. And that's something that I've wanted to do ever since I was a kid, because my dad and his brothers have their own company. And I always was like, that's so cool. And just watching them create something and just the company culture that they built, I just always thought it was so cool. That's my ultimate goal for now.
You can't give me any hints?
No.
I love the fact that you're so conscious about your community, and you want to help your community and want to help people and build that. If someone's listening right now and they want to follow in your footsteps, which is very hard, it's impossible to do that, but they want to be on social media, they want to create brand, they want to build a profile in that space, what advice would you give them?
I mean, there's a lot of different advice, and it is harder now to grow just because there's so much oversaturation on there, which is why I think the most important thing is to be yourself. And I think that's the one thing, is you can put in the work and put in the effort. And I think the one thing, the crazy part about it, is that it's just people find you and like you and want to lift you up and want to follow you. So it's like, do what you like, and whatever that is, it's going to be easier to do a lot of, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are like, oh, how do you post so much, or does it get tiring? And I like, no, I love doing this. So I think find whatever your niche is and find your voice, and because you and your personality and your stories, they're going to be the only thing really that can really differentiate yourself, and find what you're passionate about on there, and then just keep going with it. Like I was posting on there for 3.5 years every day.
Wow.
It was not going well, and then all of a sudden it just like takes a turn. So I think if it's something you're really passionate about, you got to stick to it and don't give up on yourself if videos not getting views or anything. You know, I was posting the same videos I was my senior year of college, my junior year, but like just no one found me then. So I think just really you got to be patient with it and stick to it. And it's hard on social media, especially because then you feel like embarrassed. Like for me, I always was like, I'm posting all this stuff and people would be like, she's just like pretending she's an influencer. And I was, and people would make fun of me for it, but then it worked out.
It worked out. Alix, I realize that this is so generous to give me your time. So I want to thank you so much for this. We like to end the show with 8 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay. What's a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
Want to get drinks.
It's actually the best. It's the best. Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
Best compliments are honestly when I meet parents out that say that their young girls follow me and like they're proud to have their daughters watch me, or that I've helped them through something, whether it's like mental health, eating disorder, just help them with their confidence, help them through a hard time. That's like what just means the most to me. So that's the best compliment.
I think it's so impressive that you've sort of been spoken about sort of eating and things like that as well, right? That's an impressive thing, I think. I think it's amazing that you've done that.
Thank you.
It's incredible. What scares you most about yourself?
There's a lot. Like I said, I'm competitive with myself, so sometimes I'll, self-doubt or talk negatively to myself. So I think that's can be scary at times.
Great
Something
answer.
we gotta fix.
When was the last time you cried?
What day was that? Whenever my boyfriend posted that post for our 1 year, I was crying, and then he sent me flowers, and then I had a glass of wine, and I was crying again.
What's something you can't let go of?
Someone who's wronged me.
Any names?
Not today.
Not today.
Next time.
Next time, okay. What's something you'd be embarrassed for people to know you like or want?
I don't know if there's much I'm embarrassed about.
Maybe that's
I
it.
don't know.
Nothing. Maybe that's a good nothing.
I don't think anything really.
I love that. What turns you off?
When someone is rude, especially to like a waiter, or I'm thinking of like turn off on like a date or something.
That's mine.
Staff, it drives me crazy.
That is mine. I promise you. What turns you on?
Someone who can make me laugh.
What do you like most about yourself?
I think probably my loyalty to the people that I love.
And bonus one, favorite swear word.
Favorite swear word? I was like, that's going to sound so weird coming out.
Alix, thank you so much. I appreciate it.